We are going to attract, we are going to prepare, and we are going to retain speech-language pathologists in our school programs. The importance of having SLPs in place to provide these services to students impacts the quality of service provision and student outcomes. This town hall is divided actually into those three sections. We will attract, we will prepare, and we will retain. In this first section of the town hall, our panel will address how to attract individuals into school-based speech-language pathology. Using data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you will see that SLPs are highly rated as best healthcare jobs in the nation and in the top 100 best job categories. We feel good about that each time. Our occupational outlook shows our ledger here with speech-language pathologists with 27% change in employment projected over the next 10 years, with health diagnosing and treating practitioners just below them with 13%, and so a total in all occupations of 5%, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, the Bureau of Statistics. Now let's look at the 2018 school survey. The demand for SLPs in school far outpaces the number of job seekers. According to the 2018 ASHA School Survey Report, SLP workforce and work conditions. The greatest need appears to be in the western region of the country. About 80% of the SLPs from this area, Mountain and Pacific states, report that job openings for clinicians outnumber job seekers. For your information, this 2020 ASHA School Survey will be fielded this spring. If you receive one, please fill it out. This is the IDEA series, Broken Promises, Underfunding of IDEA. The shortage of special education teachers and related service providers is often cited as a reason why districts are unable to deliver services. These shortages can be the product of personnel shortages, budget constraints, or both. Note on our disability graph here that in 2017, Part B IDEA data, ages of children 6 to 21, we see the circle in the first one, 1 out of 12 American children have speech, language, or swallowing disorders. In IDEA Part B, we notice in the second largest group, over 1 million students in special education were in the speech or language impairment category. And finally, both of these categories, we see that language skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, are impacted. We're going to make a difference. We're going to make a change. It's a campaign. ASHA's initiative to recruit people into the fields of audiology and speech-language pathology is underway. It is critical that we focus on diversity across these dimensions, including race, ethnicity, languages spoken, gender identification, when we work to attract individuals into the field of school-based speech-language pathology. ASHA's Director of Membership, Mike Skadatis, will discuss free displays and brochures that you can use to share your passion. Let's listen for a moment to Mike.
Welcome to ASHA. I'm Mike Skadatis, ASHA's Director of Membership, and I'm happy to welcome you to the ASHA 2019 Town Hall meeting. ASHA has 8 strategic objectives, and strategic objective number 6 is increase the diversity of the membership. In this effort, we have 3 audiences: individuals from underrepresented racial and ethnic populations, bilingual service providers, and men. The ASHA Office of Multicultural Affairs, OMA, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and ASHA's membership department have sustained efforts over many years to increase racial and ethnic diversity within the professions, and it's resulted in progress towards a more diverse membership. So why is this important? We know that a diverse membership is more engaged, a more empowered membership. They're willing to innovate, make their needs known, and participate in innovative solutions. We know that an increased diversity among service providers is linked to improved outcomes and lessens healthcare and educational disparities. And we know that a greater diversity can result in an organization that's better able to serve an increasingly diverse constituent base. So I'm excited to share some of our recent efforts in support of SO6. Our recruitment site, hearingandSpeechCareers.org, is a site where individuals looking for a career can find resources on why audiology and speech-language pathology may be the perfect career for them. The site's authentic in that it shows real audiologists, real SLPs, and real students whose cool stories can capture students' imaginations for their own futures. With the multicultural constituency groups, we've created brochures for African Americans, for Hispanics, for Asian Indians, for Asian Pacific Islanders, for Native Americans, and for men. And ASHA is happy to share resources like these, as well as our pop-up stand, with you to help you share what you love about what you do. You can find resources like these at www.asha.org and then search career recruitment materials. We hope you'll take advantage of some of these resources to share at career fairs and local schools in your community to help you attract students into communications and sciences disorders careers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Let's move to our panel now and begin our questions. Kathy, I'm going to invite you to start. How can SLPs educate others about our work in the schools?
Thank you, Judy. I think this is such an important issue, and I think when we're talking about educating people about our profession, we need to start with our own communities. We need to start by making sure within our school communities that our colleagues, principals, teachers, parents, everyone in our school community understands our roles. And I also like to mention thinking about how are we educating students, the future of our profession, about what we do. When I worked in a K-8 school, for example, I educated my students in the school by working with some of our teachers. I invited 8th grade students to come join me in speech therapy sessions, and they got to work with younger students or students with more severe disabilities. And it was an opportunity for me to show other students about what I did as a speech-language pathologist. And while we have these types of opportunities in our high schools for high school students to learn about becoming teachers, we often don't see these types of programs for becoming SLPs or other type of specialist types of positions. When I was deciding to advocate more for the profession, I took a big leap and decided to run for office, and that was one way for me to advocate for the profession, in which I was able to share about my students and the successes that they had, and I thought that was really important for me. I know not everybody's interested in getting involved in that way, but I think that all SLPs should be well informed on policies and how the policies set at the state or federal level impact them and impact their students. And to take another step, you can even get involved in small ways by going to school board meetings, meeting with administrators, or even making public comments to share your voice and to have your opinion be heard. I think many times SLPs don't think of themselves as leaders, but we are leaders. We are leaders with our students and in our communities, and we have the skills that make us great leaders. We have great organizational skills, we're creative, we're problem solvers, great collaborators, and great communication skills. So I encourage you all to be leaders in your communities, and don't be afraid to get involved and to educate those about what we do by sharing your own personal experiences.
Thank you very much for that. Let's move over to Joel. Could you add some ideas for attracting people who are linguistically and culturally diverse?
I'd be happy to, Judy. I think that Kathy brought up a good point about starting out at the early years, right? What better way to start talking about the professions than to think about when we actually start thinking about careers, right? We start thinking about that in the elementary and secondary levels. What do I want to be when I grow up? Well, why not think about setting a foundation for talking about what it means to be a communication specialist or a speech-language pathologist, right? And meeting the students at the level of what does it mean to communicate, right? What happens if I can't communicate? How does that feel? What should we do? And then running back and saying, guess what? There's an entire profession dedicated to just that point. And I think that that's a way that we can start building a foundation. We all go to career fairs, right? And we see some of the hallmark professions, doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers. Why not add speech language pathologists to that list, getting them in early? I think another thing that's important, particularly for professionals that come from culturally and linguistically diverse populations, is visibility and representation. Where do I fit into this? Who looks like me? Who's doing this work? And establishing those kind of relationships. I think that it's important that we show visibility. So I think that ASHA's campaign at the speechandhearingcareers.org is very important to show representation of a number of different groups, not just men, but people who speak different languages, people from different communities. And what does that mean? How does that work? And so one of the ways that I tend to do this, I'm at a restaurant or I'm at some career fair or something and someone's confused about what they're gonna do. Oh, I'm in college and I'm thinking I'm changing my majors. I kind of want to help people, but I don't know what to do. Guess what? I'm in a profession that helps people, and this is how. I'm a speech language pathologist, and this is what I do. Have you ever thought about it? Hey, we need some guys. Come on over. Let me talk to you about that. And I think that that's one of the ways that you can do it. So everyone has the power to kind of impact and spread the word of our profession in our daily lives. And most importantly, last but not least, we have to promote the importance of cultural responsiveness, cultural humility. And what does that mean? And acknowledging that there are barriers that are institutionalized in our society that we have to be open and willing to talk about, and acknowledging those differences. And it leads then into mentorship. Someone, again, who's going to guide me through these processes. We're thinking about individuals who come from first-generation homes, speaking different languages. How do I relate to someone I can't afford to go to school? I don't know how I'm going to get through this. It's challenging. So having someone to guide you through those steps, I think is going to be important in not only attracting but retaining people from different backgrounds, because it worked for me.
Very much.
Thank you very much. Let's see, Lori, could you help us with this one? Sometimes our focus tends to be on the challenges rather than the benefits of working in schools. How can we change the narrative to highlight the joys and the successes of providing school-based services to attract more people into our profession?
That's a great question, Judy. One of the primary focuses that we have at the U.S. Department of Education is on elevating our profession. And so we're looking at what are some of the ways that we can potentially do that. And some recommendations that I would have that we're currently utilizing is the use of social media in really being able to promote ASHA not only as an organization, but some success stories of what's taking place out there within the field of speech and language. And some showcasing some of the success stories that you have had with some of your students. The news media is certainly impacting us. The negative news media is certainly impacting us in regards to our ability to attract. So we have to counterbalance that. We've got to be able to get in front of it. We have to be able to share stories that are very, very successful and what's happening. I would also recommend that we take a look at how are we doing dissemination of our information, whether or not it's pamphlets, it's brochures, it's newsletters, and getting that out there in a broad scope into the hands of more people, and particularly the young people that are in our high schools and within our community, to encourage them to take a look at speech and language as an area of profession for themselves. So I think that one other piece that I would highly recommend is considering when we're elevating the profession is looking at some of the current personnel we have within our systems and try and develop a grow your own type of a program, so that when we're looking at paraprofessionals that are in some of our classrooms that are working with the students that you are currently servicing, how can we show them the value and the return on the investment of the time that the speech pathologist is taking to deliver those quality services to the student, and how important it is for changing the life of the students that they are currently providing support to, and encourage them to enter into the field. So I think we have to look at a multitude of ways that we can to elevate our profession by sharing the stories of success and encouraging more young people to enter the field.
Attracting them into the field, that's a very big part of this. Could you add anything, Lori, there on administrators' roles in this attraction process?
Yes, we've had a current State of the Profession survey that one of our top organizations recently did, that one of the top 10 reasons that people are leaving the profession in multiple areas is lack of administrative support. So I think that it's going to be critical that we continue to work with our local school systems and our charter schools across the nation and talk about the importance of the role that speech pathologists play within their systems, so that they can provide more support, greater opportunities for speech pathologists to be valued and trusted for their professional competencies. And so we're finding that if our staff feel that they are receiving administrative support, not only through the IEP process, but for behavioral supports, for professional development opportunities. You're going to hear a lot about that from many of our panelists this evening. But administrative support is extremely critical, and OSEP has taken a very active role in working with some of our top organizations, administrative organizations, NASD, our National Association of State Directors, as well as CASE, our Council of Administrators Special Ed, in working on the Attract, Prepare, and Retain initiative and the importance of administrative support.
Thank you very much. We're ready for some questions from our audience. I have one here for our panel. What suggestions might you offer for school districts supporting those of us who have worked through shortages and discrepant pay? Burnout is real. Anyone like to address this?
I'll address it.
Oh, we've got a brave one. Okay, step out.
I think one of the things that school districts often need to remember is that we can reward with non-tangibles. As speech pathologists, we know that we give rewards oftentimes in therapy sessions, but it's not always that tangible reward that has the greatest impact. And so as district leaders are looking at ways that they can help out and reward and recognize those speech pathologists who have dedicated and sacrificed, small things, just like having a SLP recognition day. Something we've done in our district is a little luncheon, a little something that myself as SPED director, I just buy some food for everybody and let them know that they're cared about and appreciated. We have a free jean day. You get to wear jeans to school because you're just such a great employee and staff member. Things like that that really don't take a lot of effort, but go a long way to show that we care.
Thank you. Great additions. Oh, I'm getting more questions. Here we go. I'm a bilingual SLP who has experienced prejudice from university instructors and later recruiters. How do we address this issue when trying to attract bilingual SLPs? Please go ahead, Terrell.
I think that we have to be mindful of the voice that we have as professionals and as persons that may experience those kinds of prejudices and injustices, and be willing to speak out on those things and to talk about it with those who are like-minded, but then also not to let that situation go unspoken about. So find the office, if it's at the University of Institution of Affairs or whatever, effectiveness or Office of Civil Rights or something like that, that you can go and make reports to and talk to someone about what has happened to make this a known issue. But then also to advocate for yourself again as to what this discrimination is happening, how it's happening, and letting people know what has happened. And then also maybe taking the time to use that to educate others on the appropriateness of communicating effectively, and what it means to be a professional. I think that we can't continue to allow for these things to happen to us, and just kind of we're in a case sometimes where we want to sit back and just kind of, that happened to me, I don't know what to do, I don't know who to talk to. So I think it's finding resources, finding others, using your voice to make this known, and so that others can be aware of these things and educating them on that.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the panel want to address that? If not, it's time to move on.